Okay, so today I wanted to talk about kind of playing under pressure and different ways of playing for results. So I have two different games in two very different situations. So this first game, it was probably the best game I technically played in my life, but it was the last year's U.S. Championship in the 10th round. So going for a little bit of context, going into this game, I had 8 out of 9, and my opponent had 7.5 out of 9. And if I won this game, I would have won the tournament. If I drew this game, it would go into the last round. But I was kind of playing for, I didn't expect for a win, so I was sort of playing for a draw because I would have been happy with the result here. So this was kind of the way I thought about going into the game, and so I wasn't like just playing for a draw, but I would have been very happy with just a draw. So in this game, I was black, and my opponent is I am Anna Zatonsky, and she is. I think she is also like a 4-time U.S. champion, so I played her quite a few times. She was a pretty strong player. So we played a Slav here. So when we got into this position, I thought she had like prepped something against me because I played something like this in the last few rounds. So it was, so this is like all theory here. And here, a few rounds ago, my opponent played, so I played this, I looked into this rook d8 line a few rounds ago, and my other opponent played here. She played knight takes e5, knight takes e5, queen e3, and here in that game I played queen a5, but that's kind of a mistake because I messed up my prep and I should play a5 here. But it's around equal position. White has a little bit of advantage, but I mean, it's a normal position. But here she played, she didn't play knight takes e5, and here she played knight e4. So this is, I looked at this a little bit before that game, and I thought the line went bishop e4, rook d1, and now I have to castle because knight d6 is a threat. And here, white has a few options, but I think there's one that's the best here. And does anyone know what the best option here is for white? Knight d6, which one? Knight e d6. Yeah, so you want to take into the kind of like the hole there. I would be a little bit worried that it will help me a little bit because I can simplify and like probably I think I can just either take or move this knight. So I guess the thing to think about here is what does black want to do here?
Does black want to exchange some pieces?
Yes, but I can't do that really right now, but if I had to move, like, what do I want to do if it was my move?
Maybe gain some space on the queen side with the B5?
B5.
Maybe move the queen.
Sorry?
Maybe to move the queen?
Move the queen. Yeah, so it would be nice to get out of the pin, but I don't know if I have any good squares right now.
Yeah. Maybe knight b6.
Knight b6. Yeah, knight b6 is a possible kind of idea. So yeah, so that's something I want to do. So yeah, I was kind of going for, I want to go for a5, knight b6, that kind of idea. So a5 will probably be my next move because a5 secures the bishop on b4, and also the important thing is it prevents white from playing a5. Because when white plays a5, I get very cramped here. A6 is coming at some point, c6 can become weak, and it also stops knight b6, and it is kind of annoying here, because the bishop on b4 is not secure now, maybe like rook a4 or something at some point. So a5 was what I think here is the best move for white. And if I go, so like a6 is probably the most reasonable move here, to stop a6. Yeah, the b6 square is a little bit weak now. And because when I was prepping this, I saw one game here, and then the game went here rook d4, which makes sense to, if you move the knight, the bishop is under attack, and but it's a little bit of inaccuracy here because black has kind of an idea to relieve the tension in the center. So it's a bit more of a tactical idea, and let's see if anyone can find it.
Is it knight c5?
Yeah, knight c5. So knight c5, and then after, if something like knight takes e5, bishop takes e5, all the tactics work because takes, rook takes queen takes e5, and now you take on e4, f4, and after this, you don't need to take right away because if you after queen takes e4, this is a bit of a mistake because queen e7. So, but instead,
there's queen 6, and queen 7.
b7, queen takes b7, yeah. Yeah, so rook d2, but after this, it's round equal because I have a lot of play for this, and f5 here. The king side is a little bit weak too on the queen because e4, queen d8, and then the queen's coming over. So I'm down by a pawn here, but the position is fine. So this is a game between Sam Shanklin and I forgot who black was, but this was the game I looked at before the game. So I knew this kind of idea, so I thought she might go for a5 or a6, but she thought for a long time here and she went rook d4. So it's kind of similar to the other game, except there's no a5, a6. So knowing this, I thought, okay, the best move here is a5. So I don't get into that kind of situation. And now she plays h4. So I guess her idea here is just to gain some space and try to like attack on the queen side eventually, or just double up and try to attack the squares. So here I already know the knight c5 idea, so I had to calculate a bit and see if it worked in this situation. So I spent a long time here and I thought I could go knight c5. And there's a lot of variations here because it's a little bit different from the other line, because I think the most tough variation here is if white plays knight takes e5. Yeah, and what do I do here?
Take the rook.
Take the rook on d4? I thought this, but it's a bit tricky here because after rook takes d4, there's knight takes e5. and then bishop c5, you do knight d3. And then I think I'm a bit worse. I mean, I'm going to lose some material. So, yes.
Knight b3.
Alright, knight b3, and then after knight b3 and after knight takes c6.
Take c1.
Knight takes, yeah, so, I mean, this line is, yeah, there's two possible things I could do here. So, knight takes c1, bishop takes c7, this, yeah, and then after all this, I think, white is a little bit better here because of, pieces are a little more active and my pieces are a bit weird here, but I'm probably doing fine here. So this is one option. Another option is I can also do queen takes e6 here, because after takes, rook takes, say somewhere like here, I'm down by a pawn, but I have very active pieces, so it's probably around equal. So both of these are fine. So I think this is the most tough way to play against knight c5. She played rook takes d8, queen takes d8, and here, so here she had to figure out like what the correct, she's also spent a long time here because she has to figure out what is the correct way to exchange the pieces. So there's knight takes c5, bishop takes c5, and here I think she should take bishop takes e5. But she played knight takes e5, which is a bit inaccurate. Can anyone tell me why?
You took f2?
Sorry?
Did you take f2?
Yeah, knight takes e5, and then it misses this. So bishop takes e5 stops it because there's no bishop f2 here, and we'll play into this kind of position where I have the double bishops, but she has I have the weakness on e5. Yeah, but after knight takes e5, oops, knight takes e5, there's this bishop f2. This nice in-between move, because king takes f2, this doesn't really work because f takes e5, and now I'm just winning this position because taking on f4 next, the king is weak, something like queen e3, I just double up, and this endgame is just up by a pawn and winning. So so here she had to move the king, but now after here, I got to this position and I realized this is kind of different than what I thought would happen, because I was entering the game, I thought I was just going to be kind of worse out of the opening, sort of, because I played her a few times before, I'm always worse out of the opening against her, so I thought that was going to kind of happen, and then maybe I'll just fight for kind of a draw. So here I realized I got to this position, I have more active pieces, her king is weak, better here, but I wasn't sure how to continue. So I mean, at first move here I thought bishop d4, this makes sense, because if she trades it off, I have rook f2 coming, the dark squares are weak, so this would be a very nice attack. So I thought this would, so this is the obvious first move, bishop f4, but after here I wasn't so sure how to continue, because I do have the advantage, but it's...
You take, no? Take the bishop? The queen, okay, I missed the queen. So I kind of had to come up with a plan here on what to do. And I decided to just put pressure on, I mean, I could try a few things, like, yeah, queen f6 is what I thought. I thought about this, but I wasn't sure what to do after, because she's not going to want to defend the pawn, she's going to go queen e2, because I can't really ever take bishop b2 because there's always rook b1. And then I didn't have to be worried because once she takes on b7, c6 is weak, and also she's attacking e5. So after bishop e5 here, and she just moves the rook, and I didn't know what to do in this position. So it's a little bit tricky because it looks like I have a pretty nice advantage here, but just if she gets the queen out and the rook out, then I don't really have anything. So it's something that I have to be very time sensitive. So here I thought I had to do something kind of immediate, so that's why I did queen b6, which is similar idea as queen f6, except here I have these kinds of bishop b3 ideas to try to gain a tempo.
So I can't take on b2 right now because there's the rook b1 idea. So I wanted to try bishop b3, and then after queen d3, maybe move the bishop away and then try to attack the b2 pawn. But here it is actually a very nice idea for black. And I'll give you guys a moment.
Is rook takes f4? Is that tempting?
Yeah, you're very tempted to do rook takes f4, but I'm not sure if all my pieces are in yet, because it just takes, and then what's the follow-up?
To play on the dark side, but
yeah, but I have to be,
not in the attack. So.
Yeah, I have to be careful because right now the rook isn't out yet, but like even if rook a3 is coming at some point maybe, and then gotta be careful.
Did you win bishop f5?
Bishop f5, maybe just e4.
Did you win this game?
Yeah, I won this game, but it does, but it doesn't really affect the best move here.
Rook takes f4. No.
And very tempting, yeah, but I'm not, my pieces are a little bit on the side here, so not quite ready for that yet.
If you had queen and d8, you may be to go.
Yeah, queen to d8, and that would just be mate, right? Where takes over.
The end game after queen takes b2, queen takes b2, bishop takes b2, rook d1, bishop c3, and rook takes b7 and c5.
So
It may be a good position by black.
but I would be worried. I think maybe can you even do bishop rook c7?
Rook c7.
Yeah.
Then bishop a3.
Bishop a3, maybe bishop d6, and
No, white is better.
bishop d6 or bishop e5. It's not so simple, I think.
Little bit better.
Something like queen b3 or bishop b3?
Yeah, so bishop b3 was what I played. It's an okay move, but it's not the best move here. So I guess the best way to think about this is what do I want to do? So I want to take on b2, right? But it doesn't work right now. So can I do something to prepare it?
So bishop b3. No.
Rook f7.
Ah,
Yeah, rook f7. So it's kind of a really cool move, I think, because you're preparing to take on b2, and now this kind of forces her to defend it. So rook b1, and now she's just a little bit passive, and now I can go queen b3 or something, and it's just very nice kind of advantage here, because just temporary position advantage, but I think it's an improvement in the position. So I really like this rook f7 move. So I played bishop e3 in the game, which is also fun, but I just think rook f7 is better. And after here, I thought she had to play queen d3, because otherwise it's just very passive. She goes queen c1. She did end up playing queen c1 here, because I think she just wanted to kind of defend the position. But I thought what would happen is something like queen d3. I don't think you can't take on b2 yet, because I would be worried about this. I'm just kind of tying down here. And I thought something like this would happen, rook d8, and there's this very nice move here, bishop c7, which kind of holds the position. Yeah, because otherwise it might be a little bit easier for me to play, but bishop c7, and after here, I mean, I still probably have a very small advantage, but not as, once everything trades off, the king isn't as weak anymore, so yes. But she played queen c1 here, and now I thought this was I definitely have like a very big advantage now.
because this rook is kind of stuck, cannot come out. But I still have to act quickly, otherwise she's going to find some ways to either go like e3 maybe, and then move the queen out and then the rook out. So I still have to figure out what to do. So I played this move, queen b4. So I kind of have two ideas with this move. So the first idea is the obvious one. I want to take on a4. And the second one is, I didn't really think taking on a4 would work because she's going to attack me somehow, is I want to move the queen to this side of the board. So then I can start thinking about these rook takes f4 kind of ideas. And bishop, yeah, so just swinging the queen over. So here she played bishop d2. And I kind of have two ideas to move the queen to. I have mainly queen d6 or queen e7. Well, also I have to make sure that taking on a5 doesn't work. Otherwise, I just have to kind of repeat the position queen b6. So where should I move the queen to?
Maybe e7?
e7. So yeah, so bishop takes a5, it doesn't work, queen takes e2. So yeah, that's probably the best square. So I played queen d6 first because this is what I saw when I played queen b4, because I didn't think bishop takes a5 worked. So after bishop takes a5, what can black do?
Bishop e5?
Bishop f2.
Bishop f2, yeah, bishop f2 is probably a simple way of playing, but there's a very nice tactical, just end the game right now.
Change the game?
Yeah, after bishop takes a5, there's a way to just end the game. Here, I'll put bishop takes a5 in.
Maybe just bishop d5?
Bishop d5, maybe. Yeah, so I mean they're all good, but there's a forced kind of way because the bishop on a5 just doesn't belong there. It needs to defend the king side, but there's like a forced continuation here.
Well, queen takes g3.
Yeah, and then
Bishop e5.
yeah, bishop e5.
Bishop e6. Bishop e6.
Yeah, so this is a really nice way to play. King takes. They're pretty. So well, queen f4 obviously. King g4, bishop e6 check, and then yeah, there's many different ways here. G6, rook f5. This is nice, and king g4 check and mate. That's also very nice. So lots of different ways here. King g5.
Did you see this?
Yeah, I was either preparing queen g3 or rook f2, but I kind of had this idea of sacking on g3 already. So this is kind of why I played queen d6, but now she just plays bishop f4. She just wants to repeat, kind of. Or not repeat, just stop this, defend the position. So I think the best move here might be bishop f3 though, just to kind of stop the attack on the f file. But after bishop f4, here I wasn't sure what to do because I wanted to play queen e7, but then I realized the bishop is better on f4 than on d2, so I kind of just did this little trick here, queen b4 and then queen e7 again. So that just was cute. So now she played bishop c3, which I think is she kind of has to go here because e3, now there's no more bishop f4, so bishop e5 and yeah, queen h4, lots of, and also bishop c3, so lots of things. So now she played bishop c3, so I go bishop e3, and she was already going pretty low on time here. So here I think that the only move really is bishop d2 here for bishop d2, and then after I can try either to repeat, because I wasn't so sure, because actually bishop e3 was kind of me just trying something because I wanted to see what she would do here. But after bishop d2, I was going to try bishop d4 and then just bishop c5 here. And I have I'm attacking the e2, and also I'm preparing rook f2, so I just have a very nice position here. I'm not immediately winning, but much better. But here I thought there might be a chance that she would go for queen e1, and I had an idea against queen e1. And yeah, so I want you guys to take a moment to see what would happen after.
Bishop a2.
Bishop f2? Yeah, and then
Take g3.
yeah, so it's the same idea, right? Queen e1, bishop f2 here, and then bishop takes g3.
Queen c7.
Yeah, and then queen c7.
C7.
Yeah, and then so same idea here, king g4, and then resigns. So yeah, so this is the game that maybe won the U.S. championship. So I wanted to start off this game because this is probably from the best tournament of my life. So the next game was probably from the worst tournament of my life. But it's also, so this game here, I was white in this game. So the reason I wanted to show this game was because I was also playing kind of for a draw in this game, except there was a different way I was going for it. So this game, I usually never play for draws. I just want to put that out there. I always, even though it doesn't matter if I'm playing higher rate or lower rates, I usually try to treat my opponents exactly the same. So for better or worse, I usually always try to play for a win. But in this tournament, this was last year's U.S. Junior Championship. I was the wild card, and I was also like the second to last seed. So everyone was higher rated than me. And this was the third round, and I lost the first two. So things weren't going that well. And this tournament didn't end up that well. I lost most of my games. But in this case, I was playing a GM, Nicholas Cheka. He's actually giving the next lecture. But I also played in this tournament. But yeah, so this is the third round, and I was white against him. And I was kind of playing for a draw this game because I just wanted to stop losing because I lost the first two games, and I knew that the tournament was going to go well. So it was kind of the wrong kind of way to approach the game, and also I played it a very strange way because you can kind of tell here that I was trying to play for draw because I play this. Takes, bishop f4, knight c6, e3. So here he thought for a bit because I think he obviously kind of realized what I was trying to do. So he played it in the exchange stop in a more kind of active way with e6, queen b3, queen d7. So an idea is if knight f3, then f6. And then he might want to try something on the king side with g5, h5. Yeah, so the idea is knight f3, because usually there's like a knight on f6, right? Or something like that. And then now there isn't, so he wants to go f6.
And g5? Okay.
Well, eventually maybe some g5 idea to be more active. So it's kind of like trying to make the position more imbalanced because the exchange stop is known for a lot of draws. So here, here I actually had a thought of it because I wanted to come up with some ideas. So I know I said I approached this game trying to go for a draw, but I played it in a very odd way because I played this very aggressively. Because my idea here was after rook c1, g5, bishop g3. He goes bishop g6 here. Here, actually, I think the best move is, well, actually, I'll give you guys a moment to find the best move here for white.
Is
h4.
Yeah, h4, and then...
g4, h5.
Yeah, so I looked at this, but I thought after this, knight e2, this is all normal. But the thing is, I have a pawn on h5. It's just more active, and I just have more ways to maneuver. So this is just a better, much better than the game. But I thought, oh, there isn't much after h4. So I played bishop e5 because my idea is after h5, or knight e7 first. My idea was here that I wanted to play knight e4 after knight f5 because that was kind of the idea to kind of get the bishop, and then if h5 and I move the pawn, then the g3 is weak. Here, my idea for some reason was bishop e5. which is kind of weird looking, but this is what I planned when I first played rook c1 a long time ago. Not a long time, a few moves ago. So, yeah, very weird looking move, but the idea is he can't take because knight takes and then c6 is very weak. And in some lines, I'm threatening like knight takes g5, these kinds of ideas. And yeah, so here I thought he might play bishop e7. Because I thought if bishop takes f6, doesn't really work because takes knight c5, queen here, knight takes b7, and now castles. And it's a bit of a weird position, but the point is if I take on c6, he just probably goes somewhere like rook b8, and then this knight is stuck here, and I'm probably going to end up losing the piece. So I didn't think this one worked, but so I would probably have to go somewhere like, I mean, castles and then takes bishop back, and not the best position, but I have this c6 weakness to attack on. Maybe eventually queen c3 castles, bring the rook in. So go for this kind of position. This was kind of my idea after bishop e5. So like, yeah, so one idea was that he can't take here, and then the other idea was that I could take here, divert the bishop, and c5 square. He played king f7 here, which is the second obvious option. And here I have a nice move. Here I have a nice move. Knight takes g5. What do you do after king g7?
I have two pieces and that.
Yeah. You can also just bring the knight back. That's what happened in the game. So I played knight g5, king g7, knight f3, and then f takes, knight takes.
Okay. But there is something better?
Yeah, there's a bit of an improvement.
h4.
h4, so what's the idea after
h4.
well, just g4?
Sorry?
g4, h5?
h5, yes.
I think maybe you can just take g takes f3, h takes g6, king takes g6.
Yes. Queen d3 then.
Queen d3?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, okay, sorry. Queen d3 here?
No.
Wait, what?
h4, g4, h5, and pawn takes, king takes, and queen d3.
Well, I think at least black always has taken e4.
Yes.
No, so
Bishop takes f6.
So bishop takes f6, what's the idea after king takes f6?
Knight d5.
Knight e5,
simply queen move now?
yeah, some queen moves, because I'll show you. So what happened in the game was
Is g4 make any sense?
was this, so it's kind of similar except I get an extra pawn. So that's just why maybe a little bit. So g4 here. G4. I think you can just.
Maybe it's better.
Maybe
knight h6.
yeah, just knight h6 and bishop e4 coming.
H4 and knight g5?
H4 and then knight g5. It's an interesting idea. Knight g5 here. So what happens? King g7 and then h5?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but now I think you can just take on g6 with the pawn.
Okay.
It's a complicated, very complicated position here. Maybe you don't even need to go g4 though. h4, maybe just like bishop, develop this bishop, because I can't take g5. How about an h5?
Knight takes and knight c5? Ah no, bishop.
Well, it's simply h3.
h3?
Yes.
h3, so there's no threat here, so maybe just bishop e7
And maybe castle.
and then castle.
Yes.
But why h3?
Stop g4.
Because if you play, for example, king g7, I can put the bishop on h2. It's a simple idea.
But I would be worried here to play this position because just, oops, not here, just h5. And it looks like this attack is coming very fast.
What about knight c5?
Knight c5 here. So takes, rook takes, and then maybe, can you move the king here? And probably g4 is better. Yeah, I think g4 is better.
You don't have anything else.
Yeah, I don't have, I really needed that knight here.
So easy.
e4,
e4, and then what do I do after takes?
knight g5.
Yeah, so this is the idea. So after, it's a really nice idea, because after e4 you can't take, because knight g5, because now e6 is hanging if king g7. Yeah.
Tried everything.
Yeah, I was kind of upset about this after a game because I looked at e4 and I looked at knight g5, but I forgot that e6 was hanging because the pawn used to be blocking this. So e4 here, so after this is just bad because, well, if king e7, you can take c6 now because this is just, yeah, all the pieces are coming. So that means knight takes g5, you have to take, and takes, take here. And I have up a little bit of material. This bishop is very strong, so this would be good. So that means after e4, you probably have to go somewhere like knight h4. And then I just kind of go, I can try this. Because king g7, again, I think you can just take on d5. Or take on d5, and then take here, get onto this kind of position. Still very complicated, and I don't really know how to evaluate this, but this would have been probably the best way to play. So I played knight takes g5 first, because I missed this, and then after king g7, I have another chance to play e4. It's not as good as before, but after here, because now he can go knight h6, and there's this really cool queen h3 move. And then it would kind of go into, this is all very complicated, kind of computer-like, but yeah, so this is very hard to kind of calculate all of this. But I played here knight f3, because I couldn't find anything better. It takes, bishop takes first, and then knight takes, queen c7, rook c6, queen a5 check. So it kind of just simplified everything, and I have 3 pawns for the piece. And right now, this knight is very active. So right now, it looks like I have enough compensation because for the bishop pair, because and the down the piece, because my pieces are out. But he's gonna bring his pieces out very soon. Gonna go rook c8. So I have to figure out what to do. So here I have 2 moves, knight c3 and king e2. I had to decide between them. So which one is the better one?
King e2 maybe?
King e2, so idea is just
I don't want to go to c3.
yeah, so king e2, and you just wanna try to bring the rook out.
Knight c5 or so.
Yeah, so that is what I played, and it's a little bit too slow. So what happened was knight c3 was the right move because it's not fun, but after bishop e4 he castles, and if rook c8, you can just probably bring your own rook to c1 at some point. But I wanted to play king e2 because I thought I could get the rook out and try to get some sort of counterplay, rook c7 or something. But it turns out that it's just too slow because bishop e7. Well, now if I go rook c1, I think just rook b8 is coming. So I play knight c5, take c5, rook takes c5, queen a6 check, and queen b5. I don't see anything. It's kind of unavoidable. I have to trade the queens off. And after this, he just traded into a up a piece. And I do have 3 pawns for it, but the pawns aren't very advanced, so, and pieces are much better than the pawns in this position. So after here, all of this, I mean,
the game? Is this the game?
Yeah, this is the game. So yeah, this was an analysis. This is what happened. Yeah, so this is why I should have played knight c3 here. Yeah, but
The king is weak.
yeah, my king is weak, so I have to trade off the queens. Like maybe if I play knight c3, I probably wouldn't have to trade off the queens, so I have a little bit more counterplay. But take b3 takes here. I have to take, otherwise rook c2 is going to be unstoppable. Like king here, probably knight d6. So knight takes g6, takes king here, knight h4. I thought this was a nice move because I can't play g3 or anything because then too many weaknesses here. Like knight f3, knight g5, and then all sorts of problems, so I had to play rook g1. And then king f6, f3, and now he pushed e5. So what do you guys think about this push e5? Is it good or
It looks fine.
looks fine? Okay, because after e5, I think this actually helped me a bit. Because after takes king d3, I'm ready to push my pawns and create some counterplay. So after, say so g5 is probably the best way to stop it. After knight f5, I have g4 and h4. And now, because whenever I trade pawns, it helps me, right? Because rook and knight versus a rook is theoretically draw. So whenever I trade pawns, it helps me. So at h4, I'm ready to push and create a pass pawn. He played rook here, knight e8. So here I had to think a bit because I wasn't sure what to do in this position. Because like if I ever push a pawn on this side of the board, I'm risking kind of making a weakness. Like if I push b4, I'm worried about like knight d6 and then knight eventually coming c4. a4, I'm worried about a5. But the thing is about a5 is it also weakens the pawn, so I can come and take the pawn. Or I can just do nothing, which is like rook h2. So rook h2 was probably the simple way to draw. Just don't do anything. Rook h2. Yeah, rook h2, because it'd be like knight f6 or something. Then just rook h1. Yeah, I mean, maybe knight d7, but even then, like maybe just rook h2 again. Knight c5, king c3, king d2. But it all seems fine. So this is probably just a simple way to continue. b4, it turns out all of these are fine. It's not the easiest. Some of them are much harder to draw than others. So b4, knight d6, and now h5, and I should, since the knight is away from the pawn now, I should be able to hold this easily. So king e6. Once I get h6 in, it's just simpler. Because here, yeah, h7, and then, I mean, I have my pieces are active. So after a4, which is what I played. So I thought the main thing about a4 is I have to worry about a5. But I thought after a5, this pawn is weak now, so I could come and take the pawn. So my plan was rook c1, rook c5, just to take the pawn. And so I can do that. I mean, other things also hold, but I was just worried about this weakness here because this backward pawn. So I played rook c1 because this is what I planned. But
You don't play h5?
No, h5 was better here, rook h6, and then just do something like b4 or just king c3. But I was worried about losing the pawn after h5 because knight g7. Because rook h6 stops h6. So yeah, h5 probably would have been a better way to go. It's just simpler here, b4, and then I'm gonna trade off all the pawns and get this pass pawn. So here I played rook c1. I was also getting really low on time here. Rook c1, he took on h4, and now I have two options really, just rook c5 or rook c8. So rook c5 was my original plan. Rook c8 would have been better because the idea is just knight d6 and then come rook c8, come this way. Because the difference is if the king moves, it's farther away from the center, so it's better for me. But I played rook c5, and I missed his idea here, which was rook h3 here. He kind of has a really tricky idea. So what happens is after f4, the best move here is rook c8 again, because knight f6 or knight d6, and knight d6, rook g8, knight f6. And this looks weird, but it's supposed to be quite equal. So the problem here is after f4, king e6, rook a5, I missed this move, knight c7. And my rook is kind of in a tough situation right now because it can't get out. I might be able to in a few moves if I get b4 in, but now I'm worried about like this pawn, if the rook comes down attacking. So this kind of like a little trap that he set, which is pretty impressive because he set it like here with a5. So I missed all of this here, 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 and knight c7. So here, what is the? So here, I think the best way to hold here is b4. Because now my rook is ready to come out. I didn't like this move, I think, because of, was it rook h2? And then king c6, a5. Yeah, so I have to play a5, otherwise my rook gets trapped with king b6. Rook b2, and here it looks like I'm going to lose a pawn. Because king c3, and then I think you can just bring the rook, or king c3 is impossible, right? Because knight b5. So I thought I was going to lose a pawn here, but the idea is e4. And once this takes, the knight takes, and then my rook is free. So yeah, this is already becoming very difficult now because you have to play like you have to play very precise moves to try to keep the draw. So here because I saw this and then I thought I was going to lose the pawn, so I played g5. And this was kind of a mistake here. Because this is a very difficult endgame because the best move here is actually rook h8, and I can see why in a bit because he played rook h1 and king c2 to stop rook b1. So after this, king c6, I have these two moves, king d4 and b4. So king d4, idea is after rook d1 check, king c3. If something like this happens, I mean, we're just kind of repeating the position here because king b6, I have b4. and it's okay. I mean, this looks a little bit risky to play king d4 here, but also the idea of b4, because after rook b3 check, I have rook c5, and then I'm okay with losing this pawn because I will have rook b1 coming. So this is all like obviously a lot of moves in advance, and I didn't have any time for this. But this is really difficult because it's like I have to sacrifice a pawn to try to trade off one of his pawns on g6. So I played, yeah, so this is why the best move for here, probably the most accurate one, although like, is rook h8, because the idea is coming in this way, rook e8 and then rook e4, because now there's no more like e4 kind of tricks, and it's ready to take the pawn. Okay, so after g5, rook h1, king c2, here, 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 here. Yeah, I play e4 here. This doesn't work because just rook d4, and now I think only move here, e takes d, king d6, was rook a7. But this is this does not look like it's easy to hold, because I mean I'm losing another pawn g5, but supposedly I have enough counterplay here because a6 is coming, but this is just very hard now at this point. Yeah, so I just played king c3, and after this it was just, yeah, this is just over. Yeah, so this was yeah, this was the end of the game, and yeah, so these two games, they're kind of the similar ideas, because I was happy for a draw in both of them games, but I approached both of them kind of differently, and they were in very different tournaments. But yeah, and I was under a lot of pressure in both of these games. But yeah, so I just thought this was kind of nice to show these two different situations. And yeah, so this was probably one of the game from one of my worst tournaments, and the other one was the game from one of my best tournaments. So yeah. Are there any questions? No. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.